Sebastian Gibrand, head coach Bocuse d'Or Team USA. Sebastian, what was your first experience with the Bocuse d'Or? What attracted you most about this competition, and what was the biggest challenge?
First time I experienced Bocuse d'Or was when I was very young and I saw it on television. I got very intrigued of the competition and the skill and the levels of the chefs. And that kind of set me in a path and made up my goal that I would like to compete in the competition. The most trickiest part is always going to be the mental aspect of it, because you can never compare yourself to others, because you don't have like the standard of like what's the world record at the moment, what is the best record for the year. You always have to be like pushing yourself all the way. So the mental aspect will always be the most tricky one. So you have to believe in yourself and your own skill set.
You're in charge of the American team today. The Bocuse d'Or is known for its enormous pressure and competition. How do you prepare for such a demanding competition, and what is your approach to training and details?
It's a very complex question, and it's like competing in the Bocuse d'Or is so many aspects. The mental aspect, the food, preparations, working together as a team, being efficient, it's against the clock all the time, the timing. It's very important that you kind of put together a team that works together with the same goal and the same understanding, making sure that you know exactly that you're traveling on the same path and that you have everybody in the team together with you on that path. And that's the tricky part. The most challenging is become Formula One in cooking. You can't just do it by yourself. You have to have a team.
You were the captain of the Swedish national team and you had a lot of success with it. Nordic gastronomy in general has been leading the way in recent years. How do you explain that?
I think that the Nordic countries are very open-minded to new cultures, new flavors, and dishes from around the world. In Sweden, I can just speak for Sweden itself, we don't have any history of food. If we would look into what's really Swedish, it would be porridge and herring, fermented herring. Everybody thinks like Swedish meatballs, but they're from Turkey. So it's like we're not set in base that it has to be in a certain way. We bring in influences from France, Italy, Japan, Czech Republic. We take everything and kind of make it into a mix and make it to our own cuisine, but flavors from around the world. I think that's like something that puts us on an edge, because we're always pushing for the very best.
Looking back on your participation in the Bocuse d'Or, is there anything you would have done differently? What did this competition give you that pushed you as a chef?
There's always a kind of sense of you could have done something differently, but it's like in that moment, you're going to make decisions and you have to stand by it. I think I did a very excellent job the first time where I ended up second. I just wanted to do it one more time to see if I can push myself and if I can reach the top of the goal. Second time I competed, I only ended up on 5th place, so it got worse, but I felt very happy about the food I cooked, the person I became, and also like how I became as a chef and how I evolved during these 5 years in the competition. So it made a huge impact on me, both as a person, but also as a chef.
Can you recall the most powerful moment during your preparation for the Bocuse d'Or that shifted you personally and perhaps even influenced your approach to cooking?
I think there's always a level of creativity during the preparations for the Bocuse d'Or. It's like where you start with something you're like very passionate about, super happy, and you're excited, and you're like, I'm going to win this, I'm going to be the best one. And then you will have a certain point where you will put a lot of doubt in yourself. Even if you think like you had a really good dish in the beginning, you're going to start questioning, is this good enough? Is this going to take you to the podium? And that's like the point that defines you as a chef and as a person, is kind of sticking to your cooking, your own style, your identity, and kind of pushing through that mental aspect of the unknown. And that's the moment that's defined you as a chef. Either you break down or you keep pushing, and that's like the most critical moment of the competition. And it happens once, it can happen twice, it goes up and down, but that is the most critical moment in competing in Bocuse d'Or.
Was it easy for you to switch from a Nordics mode to American mode? How is it different?
It's a very different mentality compared from the Scandinavian and the American. The Americans are a little bit more bigger, bolder, more outgoing. Scandinavians are very more like laid back, humble, like don't want to make a big fuss of themselves. So it was a little bit of a contrast, but I also found it very interesting of working with people that have the mindset of we want to be the best, we are the best. And that pushed me and developed me and kind of took me to a next level as well. And it's always good to meet people. Networking is the key for this business, the restaurant. And you have mentors around the world. And I met a lot of new friends, made good connections, and evolved as a same thing, person and a chef.
What is the American mentality, if you can say that?
It's a very different set of being a coach than being a candidate. I think the most and the biggest difference is that when you are the candidate, you're very looking into every single detail, very subjectively looking closely to the small details. While you're as a coach, you need to have the vision for the whole team. You have to have a vision what has happened, what's happening, and what will happen in the future. Also bring in like the second commis, the candidate, the designer, the platters. The whole vision is more like open-minded and objective, but you're taking in like the whole picture instead of just being the candidate where you're just pushing for creating the most amazing food. So that's the biggest difference, like from being a candidate, very small and narrow-minded, and to the broader picture as a coach.
What do you consider to be the biggest challenge in participating in the Bocuse d'Or? What aspects of the competition do you find most challenging?
For me, it's the preparation, because you're not knowing the difficulties. You don't know the levels of the other countries. You just have to focus on what you are doing, what you're cooking, and pushing it as far as possible. During the competition, you're just going to do everything you've already practicing on. So that's the easy part. And me, as a person loving being in the competition area with that kind of energy in front of thousands of people, I enjoy it, but that's me. It's very subjective. A lot of people don't like it as much, but for me, that's like the easy part. It's like the preparations and creating the dishes and the mental aspect that is the most difficult.
Let's talk more about the Michelin Guide, because this is a special occasion when we can have a chef who is successful both in the Michelin Guide and in the Bocuse d'Or. How do you think the Michelin Guide restaurant ratings have evolved in recent years? Are the criteria and expectations different today than before?
I think that Michelin is also a company that needs to sell books. You have to see it as a corporation of having a good revenue. So they need to adapt to the gastronomy world. I think that they might switch a little bit more to a less like casual fine dining and looking into like new ways of fine dining and giving out stars and to restaurants that they haven't been giving out to in the past. But they're doing an excellent job, and it's a very good guideline for has been for many years and will become it for years and years and years, because they know they have to follow the trends and be ahead of everything. So they're evolving as well, and not just the chefs.
Many chefs who have succeeded in the Bocuse d'Or then go on to win Michelin stars. How do you see the connection between these two worlds, the Bocuse d'Or competition and the Michelin Guide ratings?
I think there's a good comparison to the Michelin and Guide and also the Bocuse d'Or, because it's all about the best food, the best techniques, the best cooking, the best flavors, gastronomy at its very highest end. So I think that they go very well together. And competing in Bocuse d'Or have put you on a spot where you evolve in your style and identity, and it's also giving you an example of the bar of the gastronomy, the highest bar and the most delicious food. It's very easy to then bring it into to a restaurant where you can be doing it like every single day and then just adjust, prepare, do it a little bit better. So it works very well together.
How do you motivate your team to keep up the high standards required by the Bocuse d'Or and also the Michelin Guide?
I think it's very important that you have a very good spirit in a team. It's all about teamwork in the end and keeping the team happy. They should always have good energy. So it's very important that we look at all aspects of like, how can I make them cook the best food? And all teammates are different. So we just have to look in as me as a coach, what do the candidate need from me? What do the commis need to cook the best food? Because in the end, it's all about taste.
In your opinion, what are the main differences between what the Bocuse d'Or and Michelin Guide evaluators are looking for?
I think that the Michelin star reviewers are more looking into consistency. They're looking into an atmosphere, the food, the whole general, where you can be, how you're developing like from week to week, day to day, year to year. While in a competition, it's like on that single day, you have one shot, that one opportunity, and it needs to be perfect that day. The Michelin guys are very trained professionally. They have a way of evaluating. Bocuse d'Or is more like up to the judge to decide if that day they like this or they don't like it, they dislike it. So it's very up to the moment and more subjective in that way. What kind of style, what kind of flavors do they like? But it's also an evaluation and it's very subjective. What I think is the best food might not be what any other chefs think it is. So there's some similarities, but at the same time also differences.
While the Bocuse d'Or is strongly oriented towards creativity, the Michelin Guide also values other aspects. How do you balance innovation with maintaining consistent quality?
I think it's very important from chef to chef to know what's your identity, how do you want to develop. For me, it's like I said, it's all about taste, and that's going to be my number one focus. And then it's the ambiance. So working for a restaurant, you have the consistency of working every single day. And for me, it's just all about tweaking the small details and not doing too radical changes at once. Just developing in each day by day, 1% better each day. In the end, it will add up and become something significant.
What advice would you give to young chefs who want to get to the top? How should they prepare for competitions like the Bocuse d'Or and working in restaurants that aspire to a Michelin star?
I think it's very important for young people that want to compete that they focus on the basis. They need to learn the classical techniques and learn how to properly cook and do the fundamentals of cooking, and then you can start adding on. Sometimes I find people just want to skip that step and just rush into something cooking in a Michelin star or in a competition. But if you don't know the fundamentals, you will never reach the top. So be patient, learn the skill set of the fundamentals, and then have fun.
That was another episode of the Visit Chef magazine podcast, featuring a conversation with Sebastian Gibrand. You can find all episodes in our archive at visitchef.com/podcast, as well as on all major podcast apps. Feel free to contact us, we'd love to hear from you. We'll be back with a new episode soon, and we're already looking forward to having you with us again.